Hello, this is Mary Jo, and I'd like to share with you information about MTSS and MAISE. I'd like to share with you the role of MAISE in Olathe's MTSS process, what it is, how to administer and score it, and then how do I use that data. The first thing you'll want to know, though, is where you could find the MAISE resources. They'll be found on the MTSS website. If you look at the sidebar on the left and just click on MTSS Interventions, and then from that choose one of the comprehension interventions. That on that web page, what you'll notice in the center of the page is a section that's called the MAISE Progress Monitoring Tool. The first item is the MAISE background directions, and what I'd suggest is you print that out so you have that handy to be able to refer to when you're utilizing MAISE. And then you'll have the MAISE baseline passages, and then from there you'll be able to choose the grade level text that works best for you. Now thinking about the role of MAISE in our Olathe MTSS process, the first thing we want to know is why are we doing it? Well, we have had requests from teachers and staff for a consistent progress monitoring tool that can be used with all of the MTSS interventions so that you can see the students' progress as they move from one MTSS comprehension intervention and then begin another one. You will be using the MAISE with all of the comprehension MTSS interventions except the second grade comprehension intervention. And you'll use it as a weekly progress monitoring in addition to the progress monitoring that is found in the intervention. What you'll notice is that a column has been added to the progress monitoring form on the intervention document for scoring the MAISE score. So here's the progress monitoring chart, and there's the last two columns are for you to record the MAISE information. But what is it? The MAISE is a progress monitoring tool using the closed procedure so that we have grade level text passages with words that are omitted, and the students have to choose from 3 words the word that best fits. So for example, you would see a passage like this where there are it's normal text, and then every so often you'll see parentheses and 3 words for the student to choose from that make sense with the passage. And so what the student would do is they would read the passage and they would circle the word that makes the most sense and continue on for the 3 minutes. Now, how do you administer it? Well, this to me is the good news. It is read silently, so it can be done with all of the students in your MTSS group at the same time. I live in the same real world you do and know that the currency of teaching is time, and so this is something that I think makes administering the MAISE manageable. What you're going to do is explain to students that they'll be reading a story silently, and they'll have 3 minutes to read it. Some of the words you'll tell them are replaced with a group of 3 words, and that their job is to circle the one word that makes the most sense, and that only one word is correct. What I would do is model and think aloud with the practice test. When I'm doing it, I want to make sure that I'm reading the words that are before the 3 choices and the words after the 3 choices, so that they know that the word that they choose has to make sense both with the words that come before and the words that come after. So it would sound like this. Now students, here is our story, and what you'll notice is in the middle of it we've got some parentheses and 3 words for us to choose from. Let me show you how I go about doing it. I start reading it where it says the dog, and then I try the first word, apple. The dog, apple after the cat. Now that doesn't make sense, so I know that one isn't right. I'll try the next one. The dog broke after the cat. No, that doesn't make sense either. Let me try the next one. The dog ran after the cat. Yes, that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is circle the word ran. In the next sentence, or the rest of the story, it says, the cat ran fast up the hill. That makes sense. The next choice is, The dog ran green up the hill. No, that doesn't make sense. The cat ran 4 up the hill. No, that doesn't make sense either. I think the correct choice is going to be fast. Let's try it again. The cat ran fast up the hill. Yes, that makes sense. So I'm going to circle fast. Let's try our last part of the story. The dog barked. In the cat? That's my first choice. That doesn't make sense. Let's try the next choice. The dog barked at the cat. Yes, that makes sense, but I want to try the last one too to just see which is better. The dog barked is the cat. No, that doesn't make sense. So my correct answer is at. The dog barked at the cat. So I'm going to circle at. Now, as a teacher, which passage should I choose? I saw on the choices at the website that I've got them for all grade levels 2 through 5. What I would use the grade level passage if the student is able to read the words in grade level text. And that the reason that they're in this comprehension intervention is that they're not successful with comprehension. I would move down to a lower grade level text if reading the words on the grade level text is the concern. So for example, I might be a 3rd grade teacher and I might use 3rd grade level passages if all of the students in the group are able to go and read at a 3rd grade level. If I've got one student who needs to read at a 2nd grade level text, then what I would do is I would then have that student using the 2nd grade level text. It's going to be just fine even if they have different levels because again, they're doing this silently. Again, where do I locate it? I'm going to locate the text on the MTSS website, going to one of the comprehension interventions, and it'll be found on the web page in the middle of the page. How do I get that baseline score that it asked me to include? Well, the first thing you're going to do is identify the grade level of text that you're going to be using, and then for the baseline you need to administer passage 1 for 3 minutes, passage 2 for 3 minutes, and passage 3 for 3 minutes, following those maze directions. What you're going to do then is record the median score as the maze baseline score. So for example, for Sam, for passage 1, his score was 7. For passage 2, his score was 9. And for passage 3, his score was 6. I would record 7 because 7 is the median score, and so that would be his baseline score. How do I give the actual assessments? Well, after I model the process with students so they understand about reading up to that point, choosing the correct answer, and then continuing on to make sure it makes sense, I would then go and distribute the passage that we're going to be using. I'd say to the students, when I say begin, I want you to read the story silently. You'll have 3 minutes to read the story and complete the task. Listen carefully to the directions. Some of the words in the story are replaced with a group of 3 words. Your job is to circle the one word that makes the most sense in the story. I would then say begin, and I'd start the timing of it. After 3 minutes, I'd say stop, put your pencils down, and collect the passages. If you have a student who finishes before the time limit, collect the student's maze passage and record the time that it took on the student's passage. How do you score it? Well, on the website, when you're printing out the grade level passages, what you'll notice for each passage there is an answer key. And so out of the 3 choices, one of them will be bolded. You can use that to help you to find the correct answers. And what you'll do is mark a slash through the incorrect responses. It's been suggested that you do that in a colored pen so it stands out. The student's score is the number of correct answers, so the number of words that they circled correctly. you're going to record the score on the MTSS Intervention Progress Monitoring Sheet, along with the other weekly progress monitoring for that intervention. So again, here is the student's passage, Sam's passage 4. You're going to go and put a slash through any incorrect responses, and then you're going to go and count up the number of correct words that the student circled. That would be 9 for this passage for Sam, and then I go and I record it on the progress monitoring chart for the intervention. How do we use this data? Well, just as a reminder, we're using the maze data for all of our comprehension interventions, except of course the second grade comprehension intervention. And you're going to be doing the baseline for the first MTSS comprehension of the school year. And then a maze passage is done each week as a part of the progress monitoring for that intervention. If a second MTSS comprehension intervention is used in the same school year, the maze passage is also used as the progress monitoring for that intervention, but you don't need to administer another baseline passage. You will just go and see where the student left off and then continue right with the next passage. Now remember, because students are reading this silently, it's going to be fine if one student, this is their first intervention, comprehension intervention of the school year, and if another student has had an intervention before this, so this is their second one. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be keeping that recording page for the first intervention and keep that with the second intervention so that you and your team can see it and use that same progress monitoring tool and see if the student is making progress. So it would look like this. Let's say Sam had been in QAR, he completed that intervention, but still needed more work with comprehension. So then you're going to be going and using the summarizing literature intervention. And so we go to looking at the QAR progress monitoring chart, and we could see he did passages 1 through 8. And so then, well, he really did passages, he used passage 1 for his baseline, and then he used 4 through 8 as his progress monitoring. So then when I get to summarizing the main idea, I would be starting with passage 9. And from looking at Sam's scores, I can see that he is making progress. Now, again, just as a reminder, please make sure you print out that directions, so then you'll be able to have access to that if you have any questions. I'm hoping in this passage that you have been able to see what the role is of maze in our Olathe MTSS process, what it is, how to administer and score it, and then how to use the data. Thank you so much. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me, Mary Jo Fox. I am just an email or a phone call away, and always am happy to be there to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.